Well, this is very exciting. You can see Phil out there on the phone. He's talking to somebody about a truck, and I think we might have found our truck, and I think he's about to do the deal. It's really exciting. Deal done?
Well, I haven't even told us yet.
Come on then.
We bought a truck!
Have we really?
Oh, why is it? I'm really excited. Like really excited. I've spent a couple of days now on the phone to this guy. It's exciting. Yeah.
Come on, what have we bought?
We've bought an MAN TGM 18 ton, 280 brake horsepower, 2008.
And
So
the singular most important thing is that it's got air conditioning.
I knew as he would say that. Yeah, so it doesn't matter about, you know, what is a beast of a truck it is, as long as it's got aircon. But actually, that was trying to find something that was sort of pre-electric, the right wheelbase that would sort of tick all our boxes.
Yeah.
Was actually really difficult. So I'm really happy with that. So I was just sort of talking through some of the work and some of the stuff we're going to have done.
I'm so excited.
So yeah, it's really exciting. So watch the space.
Project Tonka 2 is underway.
Well guys, big welcome back to the channel. And after the excitement of the last couple of weeks, things have calmed down a little bit after that very initial excitement. And we really just wanted to update people on the truck, and I put a little teaser out on the end of last week's video. So you've seen the news, and we have bought a new base vehicle for the start of our project, which is exciting. And obviously next year's job in hand. So the vehicle itself, just to sort of give you a little bit more detail on the vehicle, and I've got to put my glasses on, I've got a couple of notes or I won't be able to read anything. So the vehicle is, you can see it's an MAN, it's a 4x4 with the diff locks and everything I wanted for that. And it's an ex-Environment Agency vehicle. I haven't actually seen the vehicle, so it was never my intention. And actually when we sort of stopped in that location, we were actually really close to Dubrovnik Airport, and the whole point was we were going to hang slack, I was going to fly back, have a look at the vehicle. I like to look at a vehicle before I buy it, before I part with money. But after a couple of video calls with the guy, and it's through a dealership in Wales, I actually was really satisfied. And the guy did say to me, look, I see a lot of vehicles, but the vehicles that come from the Environment Agency are always extremely well looked after. And I could see from the video, and I was in the cab, there isn't much more that I could have looked at. So I was actually really satisfied at the end of a couple of video calls that the vehicle was genuine. It's got 100,000 miles. Obviously it's been well serviced. So yeah, that's kind of the base vehicle. And we wanted something, I talked about that sort of criteria in the previous video. The criteria was that we wanted a slightly longer wheelbase than we have now. And the wheelbase we have now is 3.8 meters, and I wanted a 4.5. And the reason for that is when we were at the Abentura and Allrad show in Germany, we basically seen the vehicle that we really like, the vehicle that we'd like to sort of base our sort of next vehicle on, which is the 18-foot Blissmobile. And we both fell in love with it, and we thought, this is the vehicle for us.
Sadly, it was about £300,000.
Just for the unit?
Yeah.
Yeah, 380 odd thousand, I think. So yeah, it's a lot of money. So that is really what we're going to base the vehicle on, in terms of the layout. So it's not that dissimilar to the layout. No. They've got a plane overhead. Typical.
That's typical, isn't it?
It's not that dissimilar to the layout we have at the moment, where the bed is to the rear of the vehicle, the seating area is to the front,
and everything else is in between. And I particularly like that layout. There seems to be a trend at the moment to have the bed and then a sofa in front of the bed. Which I
quite like.
You do. But I've really noticed that when we go to bed, our bedroom is always cooler than the rest of the truck.
Yeah.
And it sort of makes it like a separate sleeping place, and I think that's much better for good sleep hygiene, and I don't know, I just prefer
Sleep hygiene, what is that?
That's like the ability to sleep well.
Okay.
Which we seem to be failing at the moment.
Yeah.
Mostly because it's so hot.
So if you've seen the videos, you'll see that I wanted an older vehicle. I wanted a sort of pre-electric thing, and the search for a vehicle has been quite a long one. Although it sort of probably seems, you know, if you follow us, that it's actually quite short. It hasn't been. This concept, this thought of ours has been sort of going on for some time, and I've actually been searching for a vehicle for about 5 months, and the vehicle wasn't actually on the market. And how it come about, and I thought it's an interesting one. Anyone looking for a vehicle, you might want to sort of take note of this, because I rang about a certain vehicle, not the vehicle we've bought, and I spoke to the guy at length and sort of said, look, this is what I'm looking for. And he said, well, actually, I might have something that could fit that bill. I said, all right. He said, so he told me what it was, and he said, look, the vehicle isn't even on the market, and it wouldn't be going on the market. He said, because we send a lot of stuff to Africa. He said, for the mines and the quarries. He said, it was straight out there. He said, anything like that, whereby it isn't, you know, so this vehicle's a Euro 4 engine. So he said, those older vehicles sell for the same money as newer vehicles. He said, because they can fix them. They love them. They can't get enough of them. And he said, I've got a couple of buyers. He said, they'll just buy them all day long. And so I thought, wow, this is really interesting. And so, you know, obviously we looked at the vehicle and thought, yeah, actually the vehicle's right for us.
I'm just going to interject here though and say, before people send us messages saying we're crazy buying a truck that we haven't actually seen, we did do a lot of due diligence. And Phil's worked with vehicles all of his army career, 25 years, so he knows what he's looking at. I checked out the company, we contacted them, they are completely legit, we've had a proper invoice. So we're comfortable that we're not being scammed in any way. However, we would not normally advocate that you go out and buy a vehicle that you haven't actually seen, because people do get scammed like that.
If you know me, look, I've bought a lot of vehicles over the years. I don't part with money easily. But you know, the guys, he's, you know, you get a feel for people, and like as he said, you know, we've checked them out and everything is legit. And the guy's been good as gold actually, in terms of that communication piece.
Post sale, we've had lots of contact from them, and he's keeping us up to speed with the MOT and the crane coming off the back. And
so just on that one, so you'll notice that, you know, the vehicle it's got a side tipper at the moment with a little crane on the back. Thankfully not a big heavy high-ab, so it's quite a small unit on the back. And part of the attraction was, so the vehicle basically was nearly 29,000 including VAT, which was a huge amount of money. I couldn't understand, like, hold on a minute, you know, you can buy much newer TGMs with less mileage. And he said, yeah, because people like the older stuff and we can sell it. Okay, he said, but I can actually remove the crane and sell it if that's of interest. So straight away I thought, this is fantastic, because generally if you buy a vehicle, it's either, it's best case scenario, it's a flatbed, but it might be an old fire unit, it might be, you know, some of the guys that you've got to get rid of whatever's on the back, you know, if it's a fuel tanker, a water tanker, whatever it is, all of that has to be removed, and clearly there's a cost. And then nobody really wants that, so you've then got to pay to get rid of that as well. And so he said, no, I can remove that and take £6,000 off the bill. So straight away my eyes lit up and thought, this is fantastic, because really what I want, and I explained to him what I wanted, and he was really good in sort of getting that, was a cab chassis. You'll also notice that it's got a double wheel on the rear, so it hasn't got super singles. So he's reasonably confident that, you know, given a little bit of time, that he will be able to source some rims for me. But I've also been in contact with a company in the Netherlands to potentially get a set there. So
we have options in terms of wheels.
So obviously there will be a set of super singles with a set of Continental tires that'll go on there at some point, hopefully in the near future. So he's going to MOT the vehicle, that was part of the deal. He's then going to strip off everything on the back, the crane and so on, sandblast the chassis, 2-pack the chassis, so we're left really with a lovely clean cab chassis ready for the subframe. So I've got notes here, and I've got to put my glasses on because I'm really blind without them.
It's a really good start to the project though. I think it's just what we wanted. It's still mechanical, but it's got air conditioning. It was the right price. Do you want to share?
Yeah. So we ended up paying 22,800.
Including VAT?
Including VAT. and it's that sort of early TGM, so it hasn't got the new grille. It's, you know, and arguably, you know, people say, oh yeah, but you know, and there's lots of sort of arguments for and against. I'm happy with the vehicle. I think ultimately sort of that's...
Do we just want to mention as well, it is right-hand drive, and we know that there are some limitations with that in South America particularly.
Costa Rica is a good example.
But we've just decided that we'll go for a holiday in Costa Rica and leave the truck somewhere. But in terms of driving right-hand drive in Europe, we've been doing that for most of the last 5 years, and it's, do you know what, it's been absolutely fine. It means I can't sleep in the passenger seat anymore. I have to sometimes give Phil a bit of a hand to see what's coming. But we work well together, and it really hasn't been an issue for us.
It's not an issue. Look, I would love a left-hand drive vehicle. But really,
we looked, didn't we?
That was a preference, and I've looked and looked and looked, and I think for the money, nothing compares to this. The vehicles in the UK were by far cheaper. So I think
generally with less miles on as well, and in better condition.
3 or 4 years ago, not a problem. You could pick up any array of left-hand drive vehicles with low mileage, and you know, but everyone's jumped on the bandwagon, and it is really, really difficult to sort of get a vehicle. They're out there, don't get me wrong, you can get them, with low mileage, some great examples, but you're really paying for them at the moment. And I just thought, right, within our budget,
we couldn't have done that.
That's not going to work, particularly with the taxes and everything else, bringing it in. So it really was a bit of a non-starter in the end. Just subframe.
Sorry, I was just going to say just a little update on the project, really. Some other things that we've been talking about over the last couple of weeks and have sort of finally agreed and decided upon.
Yeah.
Technical stuff, so you're...
Well, really, if you sort of look at the project, the subframe, so I'll pick the vehicle up and I'll take it to the fabricators with the view to getting cracking on with the subframe. The subframe will be a rail-on-rail. Now, we've spent some time with this whole thing, and obviously we're living in a truck, and this truck has a 4-point independent subframe, which is great. Probably gives you the most amount of articulation, whether it's 3 or 4 point, and it's great. And without question, you know, you will get the most flexibility, if you like, using the 3 or 4 point. But a lot of the new manufacturers, the big manufacturers that are making new vehicles are actually using a rail-on-rail system, and I'm actually really happy with that. And there's a couple of reasons for that. I want to try and keep the vehicle as low as possible. And I'm going to put a big set of tires on the vehicle as well, 14 Continentals, 14 20, so a 50-inch tire effectively. So it's going to sit a little bit higher anyway, and I really want that sort of, I suppose, stability, and I'm happy with the level of movement or articulation I'm going to get with that rail-on-rail system. And as I say, we've looked at a number of big manufacturers. We're at the Abenture and Allrad show in Germany this year, and I was surprised actually quite how many companies were just using a rail-on-rail system. So that is what we're going to go for.
Yeah.
I'm sure lots of people will have comment on that, but as I say, and we have a 4-point right now, which is amazing, but yeah, that's where we're at. So the habitation box, I'll talk loosely about the size, but the sort of construction and how that's going to fall out in the end, I will actually talk about that in a later video. But we're looking at a 5.4 meter box, and that's really based on the Blissmobile design that we've seen. That's basically the size of the box. 2.5 meters wide, with a 60mm construction in terms of thickness. So some of the additional fabrication work that we're going to have done, other than the subframe, is a bike rack, and for us having a second means of transport is really important, and we don't want to be without probably a motorbike as opposed to a scooter. So at that early stage we're going to try and incorporate a motorcycle rack into that design. The other thing we want to consider as well is the platform in terms of the steps and sort of how all that works, and that's really got to be thought about. We have a little platform at the moment into sort of a side step, which we really like. And
we've seen hundreds of different step configurations, and they all have pluses and minuses, but a lot of them seem to be quite wobbly. I like the stability of what we have. Yeah,
so that's going to need a bit of thought. You can buy off the shelf examples, and we've seen them again.
Though.
Yeah, whether it's, you know, well, I'm not going to go in there because,
No.
you know, I'm bored myself.
We don't know yet.
So, yeah.
I think it's the answer.
Obviously, the cut through as well, and stuff like roof bars, be at the cab and obviously on the habitation box as well. But some of that, depending on budget, might have to happen at a later date.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But very quickly, sort of, I'm not going to bore you with all the details, just give you a flavour really of sort of our thoughts and our early sort of design ideas really. So Izzy, windows?
Yeah, windows. So we have outbound windows in Tonka at the moment. We really like them. So you buy the window and then you buy the blind and the fly screen to fit, and they have been superb really.
Yeah.
So they're double glazed glass windows. So we're going to go for those again. So outbound will do the windows, the main door, the doors into the garage, which will be either side at the back, and the cut through into the cab.
Sorry, you mentioned roof lights.
Oh, and roof lights. Yeah, sorry, they do roof lights and windows. So that's already been decided. Electrical, we're going to stick with Victron. We've been really impressed with the Victron stuff.
Yeah.
It does a really good job. And to be honest, what we have won't be dissimilar to what we have in here. What we will have is the addition of a little panel to read things. We obviously can do that now on a phone and with the monitor. We just like the fancy coloured panel.
It'll be more. I mean, we're going to try and achieve about a minimum of 1200 watts on the roof of solar. We're probably going to go for a 3000 amp
watt inverter.
Sorry, 3000 watt inverter. I've got amps written down beside batteries, which is throwing me.
Yeah.
So 3000, but maybe 5000, because we want the washing machine, we want the roof air conditioning.
Yes.
So we're just sort of looking at our energy sort of needs and thinking 3000 will probably do, but we might go with 5. We'll see. Sorry, in terms of amps, we'll go for, so it'll be a 24 volt system, so we'll probably go for 300 at 24.
Yeah.
So effectively sort of, you know, double it, 600 at 12 volts if you like.
Yeah.
And we think that's probably enough, and we've got more than that at the moment. We've actually got 800 or 400 at 24 volts. So we're again, you know, that might change. We might stick with 800, we'll see. And obviously all of that will be controlled through a servo, some sort of touch screen.
Yeah.
But we like the servo and we like Victron, so we'll stick with that. So a little camera has just stopped actually. It just came up on the screen and saying it's too hot. So it's prime opportunity to make a cup of tea. Of course it is. But it's hot today. I mean, give you an idea, it's 37 degrees. We haven't actually slept in 3 days now.
Oh.
It's been...
Well, we have slept, but just not very much. And
yeah,
not really good quality.
We have slept, but it's been rubbish sleep, I must say. It's been hot. But one of the nights we had that bird scare, that banging, that it was like a shotgun going off.
And then the next night we were parked. We just made a bad parking choice, and it was noisy. We thought the road would be quiet, and it wasn't. And then last night was about 57 degrees, really warm, and there was absolutely no air at all. And our little fan just...
Yeah.
Well, it kept going all night, but after a while it's just moving hot air around, really.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get the tea made and try and resume.
And then we'll come back.
Okay. Right, camera's sorted itself out, which is great. So very quickly, we're nearly done actually. Water, plumbing, that sort of thing. So we're hoping to achieve 500 litres of fresh water, and we'll have a pre-tank filtration system with that as well, and 120 litres of grey water. It's not very much. We actually have 80 litres of grey waste in this, and actually we didn't want to carry lots and lots of waste, and we still don't, so we think 120
we just empty regularly
is enough. Yeah, exactly. I think I might have mentioned the compost toilet. We have a separate tiny compost toilet, which we absolutely love, and we would still say that it's our best upgrade to date, and we're going to stick with that. I think there's a new version out, so we'll go with that. And we'll stick with the diesel water heating as well, and secondary diesel air heater. So there'll be a 5 kilowatt hydronic water heater, and that'll heat up. So we have a 70 litre hot water tank at the moment. It's actually
It's
not
big.
required.
No.
No. So we're going to go for either a 30 or 40 litre hot water vessel, but we're also going to fit a heat exchanger as well, with the ability to plug in 230 shore power.
Yeah.
And that will actually feed underfloor heating and a towel rail in the toilet area as well.
I would really miss that if we didn't have that. I think just for drying wet clothes, and you know, if you've been out and it's cold and wet, yeah.
Yeah,
really
no,
good.
we like that. It's good. And we're also going to have a washing machine, and as you probably know, we have a washing machine at the moment, and we really wouldn't want to be without the washing machine. It's a good addition, and I've mentioned the air conditioning. And then really just to sort of close it off, really, a few other considerations. Obviously paint colour.
The most important one.
What's that?
The paint colour.
See, this is what I'm dealing with, right? This is when we used to do all our house builds, right? I'd be like in like the foundations, digging the foundations, you know, doing all that sort of, you know, thing. What is he saying? Coming out with colour charts. What do you think?
Yeah, but we were in Kotor the other day, and the cobbled streets were exactly the colours that we were thinking about, sort of like dusky terracotta, sort of pale, very pale, sort of sandy yellow,
desert rat colour,
deserty sort of colours. So we're sort of veering towards the sort of pinky terracotta-y colour right now, but don't hold us to
yellowy,
because it'll probably change 100
changes
times.
every day. So so there we go. So yeah, paint colour. All right. Spare wheel location, because I'm trying to get a balance right. I'm trying to get a sort of 50-50 balance in terms of the axles. So I don't want my car going to carry a motorcycle on the rear as well. So I'm going to try and get it on the roof. So just sort of watch the space, but I'm trying to keep the build as low as possible as well. And a big thing for us really is we are going to keep gas. And a lot of people are saying, I go all electric. Well, that's not us. We could have done it in this truck because we put new workbenches in, and we said, well, we love cooking on gas. No, and I'm glad we didn't. And so we're going to stick with that combo. So we're going to maybe have induction and gas, we don't know, but we'll definitely have gas for the outside grill anyway. So
there's a real thing for me as well, is one of your systems fails, something goes wrong with your electrics, for example, and you can't cook, you can't heat, you can't do anything. Whereas if you've got a gas hob, you can always heat up the inside of the truck by heating up a bowl of soup.
I've said this somewhere before, but the best example of that was last year, early in northern Turkey. It snowed for 2 weeks.
We had no power, no solar really coming in.
Everywhere was closed. There's no campsites open whatsoever. We couldn't plug in. I was on the roof. I was clearing a big extended brush. I was clearing the snow from the roof. Just, you know, literally within 10 minutes, that was it. And every day it snowed. And it was just impossible. And so as big as your battery bank is, over time, that just depletes. And you've got no power. And if you're using, you know, big appliances like an induction hob, then you're going to struggle. So, and look, there's a whole host of sort of minutiae that I'm not going to cover. It's way too early, but that's kind of the feel of sort of where we're at. And really it's about sort of getting back to the UK, getting the truck picked up, and then really starting that sort of real, those chunky pieces of work, you know, with the subframe and the box, and sort of get the sort of the base of the project on the way.
So the next couple of months will be really more about researching, really getting into the detailed cost of stuff. So although we have outline costs, we really want to drill down on that a little bit. We've added a few things. So we weren't originally going to have air conditioning, but I think, you know, our experience right now in Montenegro is that we probably do need it.
And Turkey last year, we had 44 degrees last year in southern Turkey, and it was unbearable.
So we're just sort of refining and polishing the budget, I suppose, a little bit, doing some research. That's a good word, isn't it? And I think the next time we'll see you talking about the truck will be when we actually have it in early December. Yeah,
I'll take it along for the journey and do the whole sort of pickup thing. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. So guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you for all your comments, and I mean that. I always sort of have a little laugh sometimes, sort of reading comments, and I feel like I know some of you people really well. So thank you, keep it coming, and I appreciate the support for the channel. So that's it, until the next time.
Bye
For now.